everybody, welcome to the Drum Mission. I'm sorry that we're late on this video this week. I've been kind of sick. You can probably still hear a little bit of the frog in my voice. I came down a couple of weeks ago with the flu and it's been like this. It was good, then it was bad, then it was good. And I thought I was over it, but I'm not. I had kind of a relapse on like Wednesday of this week it started. And I just couldn't do this video, couldn't get it out. I'm going to try to get out two out. I'm going to try to get two out this week coming up. Alright, so what is this video about? This is a talking head video, and that's hard for me to do because, you know, I'm not the most attractive. As a matter of fact, in Michigan, I think I'm the second most attractive drummer in the state. That's true. And not a good pool to choose from. I'm just kidding. I'm sure all the drummers in this state are extremely attractive. That's funny to me. Okay, we're doing Ringo Starr's new album entitled Look Up. We are reviewing the album. That's Ringo Starr's new album called Look Up. It is a country album. So let me start with the elephant in my room, and that's my bias. In my vinyl record collection, I will be reviewing the vinyl. In my vinyl record collection, I have lots of rock, lots of pop, almost all the Beatles. I'm sure there's some bootlegs and stuff I don't have. Lots of jazz, lots of big band, classical. I have no country. I do not really listen to country. I never listen to the country stations. I'm just not a country fan. So I bought this really for the sole purpose of doing this video, and I didn't know how I was going to feel when I listened to it. I didn't know. I know that Ringo was a country fan, and for years and years. I mean, Don't Pass Me By in the White Album is kind of a country song. There's a little bit of a country flavor in Octopus's Garden. Ringo has mentioned many times how much he loves country music, and some of the people he covered throughout the years have been country artists. So I wasn't sure how I was going to like it. The people on Sirius Radio, on the Beatles channel, were loving it, but they're on the Beatles channel on Sirius Radio. You know, they're going to like anything that he would do. And even though I like Ringo, I'm a fan of Ringo, this channel's an honest channel. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you. So I take the album. Well, first of all, let me talk about the value, what I was surprised. The album cost me $30.99 at Dearborn Music. And I got it home and I was impressed with, it's a gatefold, and I got the album pictured here somewhere. And there's a poster which is two-sided. I don't really know what they want me to do with the poster. It's kind of cool to get it, but at, you know, 62 years old, I'm just going to keep it inside the sleeve. The lyric sheet was on the poster, and I appreciated that because it's a country album. Lyrics are important to it. And so I was impressed with how much you get. And I was impressed with all the pictures, there's a lot of them, of Ringo wearing a cowboy hat. And that's both funny and fun. So that sets you up. That set me up to listen to this album of a fun, kind of funny, humorous thing. I don't know, because Ringo, we don't picture him, you know, riding horses on the range or anything like that. And here he was wearing this cowboy hat, and he's smiling and he's laughing, and you can tell in the pictures he's having a good time. So it kind of sets you up. And then I popped the album on. Now here's my little negative. I'm going to give a little negative. The album itself, the vinyl, the quality control on the album wasn't very good. It looked like the stamper that stamped out the vinyl left these little nodules on the edge that I broke off, and the album played just fine. But what the heck? I mean, come on. I should get a nice clean album without little nodules on the side that I got to break off. For $31, that's what I should get. So that was a little bit of a problem, and I thought the pressing, whoever did the pressing, and I'm not sure, did not do a good job. So I'm going to take off a little bit of that, for that rather. That was like Anyway, here's the good part. I put the album on, and I put the album on, and I never do this with records, rarely. Some of the Jimmy Smith albums that I got, he's a jazz keyboard player, I've done that with. But I listened to it twice through, nonstop. Side A, side B, side A, side B again. The album is extremely pleasant to listen to. It's just enjoyable to listen to. The melodies are nice. The lyrics are good. The musicianship is great from everyone. Everyone. And there's so many great players on this album. Of course, Ringo's on it. And then he's got Billy Strings, a great bluegrass slide country player. Alison Krauss, great fiddle player. But the one, and I'm sorry to say, I did not know who Molly Tuttle was prior to this album. She is a country bluegrass player. She's fantastic. She's utterly fantastic. Great playing, and she plays all sorts of string instruments, but her voice is sensational. And her voice with Ringo's voice together, just a thing of beauty. Just a real thing of beauty. Just great, just great. Now, my negative to this, what I felt was there was not a breakout hit. And now maybe this is Ringo's curse, because it's hard not to compare Ringo to Lennon and McCartney. And you can't listen to Lennon and McCartney, whether Beatles or solo albums, without singing the tune. I mean, I'm not a super fan of McCartney's solo stuff, but even songs like What's So Bad About Silly Love Songs? You end up singing it out of the car. If you're going to get coffee, you hear it, you end up singing that song for the next hour. Because these guys, Lennon and McCartney, could write a melody that stayed in your head forever. Not so on this album. I got to admit, over the last 2 weeks, I've owned it for 2 weeks, I've probably listened to the album about 10 times. I still don't really remember the melodies after the album's done. I just know I enjoyed listening to them while I was listening to them. And the musicianship is really good on them. All right, let me add one more thing to the musicianship. The mix. I'm under the impression it was mixed in Nashville. I could be wrong. Incredible. Ringo's drums sound fantastic. The guitars sound fantastic. You hear everything. And we're on some drummers' albums, and this is a little bit, there's some Phil Collins solo albums where I think he just got the drums up too loud. I love Phil Collins playing. My tribute that I did to him 2 weeks ago, I said I'm a big fan of Phil Collins. But I sometimes I think he could have taken the drums down a little bit. On Genesis, they got it right. And then on the solo albums, he kicked it up a little bit. He's a great player. He can do what he wants. I think it was too high. But these are perfect. They're just loud enough, but you hear everything. You hear everything. You even hear just enough reverb on the hi-hat to make it sparkle. It's like they're sparkling when he's opening up the hi-hat and doing his thing. It's such a well-produced, well-mixed album. It is so pleasant to listen to that I have really listened to it about 10 times throughout the course of the week, just because it's so enjoyable. And yet, there's no breakout hit. There is not a breakout hit, at least in my opinion. However, there are some really good tunes. And let's talk about them now. Let's talk about them. All right, so let's talk about the tracks, but I'm not going to do a track by track. I'm going to talk about some of the tunes that stand out a little bit to me because I'm reviewing the vinyl LP. And the vinyl LP to me always, for anything, is a work of art. It's an experience. Where the digital, you listen to the tunes that are on the vinyl LP, but you're not sitting on your couch looking at the liner notes and all that kind of thing. So let's start out right with the opening track, Breathless. Cool tune, very cool tune. It starts out with a drum fill, of course, why not? This is a Ringo album. And what I like about Breathless is it's a moderately up-tempo tune, not too up, but it's got that thing that Ringo does so well that kind of shuffling and not shuffling at the same time. It just has that swagger that Ringo always used to put on those Beatle records, which is so cool, and you're so used to hearing him do it, and it's very prevalent in the older country. But I would put Breathless in the country pop, or really pop country. It's a pop tune with country spices. And then I kind of, when I listened to it for the first time, I kind of wished it was a little more up-tempo. And then you get to the second tune, and the second tune is called Look Up. It's the title track, and it drives. It drives. This is a really good rocker. And if I was going to categorize this tune, I would put this as country rock or rock country, about 50-50. It is a driving rock song with lots of country sounds and guitars, and there's all sorts of country instrumentation in this that just makes it sound so good. And so the first two tunes right out of the gate, you get a moderately up-tempo into a very up-tempo, a very cool rock song, some, distortion guitar, all that kind of stuff is going on, and right away you're set up. So right away when I heard those two, I was set up to like this album. There's just enough, and I think maybe Ringo did this on purpose, maybe he didn't. There's enough rock for the people who are not real country fans who just bought it because Ringo was on it, which I would fall into that category. And there's enough rock and pop in those two tunes to make you go, oh yeah, let me listen to the rest of this. Let me hear the rest of this. And then we get to track number 3. Time on My Hands. And this is a ballad, a very traditional country tune. A very traditional country tune. Typical country lyrics. It's about the guy who loses the girl, and now he's got all this time on his hands, and he kind of has to watch her with somebody else. That kind of thing. And it's got that. I know it's a country dance. Maybe somebody could tell me in the comments. The beat is where the snare drum plays the 2 and the end of 3. So it's, if I were to sing it out a little bit, boom, bop, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. That's the beat to it, and I know it's like an old country kind of thing, like a little, like a weird 2-step or something. Anyway, so yeah. What I notice about this tune, or what I noticed, is a couple things. One, how much Ringo sounded like Willie Nelson. He just sounds a lot like Willie. And Ringo always had that just a little vibrato in his voice that he would do at the end of his lines. And to be honest with you, it would annoy me sometimes on Beatle records. As a matter of fact, the song Good Night, which they wrote for him on the White Album, I would skip over that tune back in the days. I don't listen to the album as much anymore. I listen to that more digitally than I do vinyl, because it's a double album set. And when I listen to vinyl, I like to listen to the album all the way through. And that's a commitment. And I would skip over Good Night, and a lot of it was because of that little Ringo vibrato, which I tend not to like in any singer. Except the older, and I know the older country had it, and I'm not a big country fan, as I said. However, you hear this and you go, oh yeah, oh yeah. Molly Tuttle backs him up in this. We're going to get a little more of her in a second, but it just sounds good. It's very listenable. And this may be the first traditional style country song that I've ever listened to and enjoyed. Now, once again, on these 3 tunes, if I were to be asked to sing the melody to you right now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I just know that I like them and I enjoy them, and when I'm working out at the gym, I listen to them, and I just enjoy them. They're very pleasant. And the third tune is very country cliche, but Ringo has just enough pop and country in his voice to not make me think, oh, it's another sappy country tune. But there's a cuteness to it. A cuteness to it. The rest of this side, it's okay. It's okay. Nothing to write home about. A couple of more good tunes. Nothing that I would skip over. I enjoyed it, but we're not going to talk about them here. I want you to have some surprises when you listen to this at home. Let's talk about side 2. And we're going to talk about the first 3 tunes on side 2. The first tune is called Come Back. And this is, if anybody else had done it, and maybe this is my bias because Ringo was a Beatle, if anybody else had done this, I would think this is one of the hokiest country songs I've ever heard. It's got the whistle in the front, and it's such that laid back. By the way, side 2 definitely, I think, could have used more rockers. Side 2 has one real rocker, where side 1 has really kind of 3 rockers. And I'm including Breathless in that. I really would like to have side 2 have a couple more rock and roll tunes. It didn't. But so that first track on side 2 starts out with this very hokey, corny tune. Not awful, but I guess if I was listening to this digitally, this is one I might skip over. I might. It doesn't really do much for me, except when I'm listening to it on vinyl, it's kind of cute. That's all I can say about it. But then we get to track 2. Can You Hear Me Call? Okay. If this album was going to have a standout tune, this is it. I wish I could say it was because of Ringo Starr. It's because of Molly Tuttle. Molly, sadly to say, I did not know of until I did this video and I learned about her. Yes, she's a very incredible country guitar player, string player really. She does banjo and some of those things. But to be honest with you, in Nashville, there are a gajillion really good guitar players. It's her voice. She has just enough pop and rock in her voice. I did some research on her there, and I looked at her other albums, and she's got albums where she covers Jefferson Airplane, Sheryl Crow, and several other rock guys. I think Rod Stewart, too. She covers several people. And when you listen to her voice, to my ear, I hear Sheryl Crow and Loretta Lynn. I hear Stevie Nicks and Dolly Parton. And Molly, if you ever watch this, you're incredible. I do think on your solo stuff you need more drums. And it would be nice if you could put out a little more of a rocker of an album. I think that would be really cool to do. I'm offering my services. If you pay for my way down to Nashville, heck, I'll pay for it. I'll do it for free. And I'll send you my resume so you're not afraid. But I was very impressed with Molly Tuttle. So impressed that I'm going to go out and buy some Molly Tuttle albums. Now, again, if you're not a country fan, this uses that old call and response, this tune. Can you hear me? Can you hear me call? I'm sorry. It uses that call and response. Ringo sings the line, then Molly repeats it. And you don't mind it. You don't mind it at all. Because her voice is so pleasant. Matter of fact, you look forward. You cannot wait to hear her voice again. It's just incredible. Molly, good choice, Ringo, on choosing Molly. And that's part of it. That's part of producing an album like that. That he chose Molly Tuttle. He chose Molly Tuttle. The third tune on this album is a song called Rosetta. So I think the way this was written, the way the guitar sounds like it's playing, that maybe it was originally written to be a 2-beat. And I'm hoping this was Ringo's choice, but he chooses to do it in halftime. Great choice. I think if this had been done as a 2-beat, I would hate it. But because it's done with that halftime rock feel, and I don't mean rock and roll, I mean rock. What a cool song to listen to. What a cool song. Good rocker. Lots of fuzz guitar and just kind of heavy, like bordering that how heavy can we make this country song? I mean, that's what I think of when I hear this. But at the same time, and this is really cool, it opens up with upright. Upright brings it in, and the upright continues in parts of it. And anytime you bring upright, I'm down for it, because upright rocks. The drums on a halftime feel, but yet you've got definitely that country feeling in the tune. If I were to say that which rock song was my favorite on the album, it's this one. All right, the rest of the album goes on very well. There's 3 more tunes. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm going to talk a little about the last tune, which is my major disappointment on the album. It's a song called Thankful. Alison Krauss plays on it. Alison Krauss is great. This takes nothing away from her. But if I was going to say one song was the least memorable song, it would be this one. I wish that Ringo had closed the album with Rosetta, that rocker. You know, I wish he had closed with that, and maybe put Thankful as a song before it. I think that would have been better. And maybe the side needs one more rocker on it. But Thankful would be the one song on it that it's not very poppy. It's not really very country. It's the most bland of all the tunes. So sorry, Ringo. Thankful. I get the lyrics. He's really thankful for his career. That's what he's saying. And despite Ringo's sickness early in his life, I mean, let's face it, the man was a Beatle. And had it not been for him becoming a Beatle, this is not to take anything away from his drumming. On this channel, we've said many times, I think he was a genius. But would we have heard of Ringo had it not been for Lennon McCartney? I'm not so sure. So yes, I get the lyrics. The lyrics are really nice, very personal for Ringo. You can tell that. But I would have made this track 5 out of 6 tracks and let Rosetta close it. Anyway, if you don't buy country, try this one. If you do buy country, buy this one. Molly Tuttle, Alison Krauss, Billy Strings, Ringo's voice. I wish Ringo had started doing country 25 years ago, because then we might have gotten a couple of really, really good country hits in that time period. I hope he does another one, but let's face it, he's 83. God bless him. I hope he lives to be 183. But things are as they are. I don't know if we'll get another one from Ringo. But I wish he had found this genre much earlier in his career to do whole albums, because I think Ringo's voice and his drumming is really suited to country music. Better, listen to me, than some of the new country people that are out there that think they're country. All right, these are my thoughts and opinions. Whatever. Don't care if you like them. If you like them, leave a comment. If you don't like them, leave a comment. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll be back on the kit very soon.